Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about how to stay down when hitting the driver. And this video has been prompted by, well, a couple of things actually. Recently had a couple of students that have come to visit for golf lessons who had a similar problem, but also some people that participate on the online academy have been uploading swings to me, and I've noticed that they have this same tendency to sort of stand up as they start the downswing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of step by step talk about it in 3 stages. If you are somebody who is standing up, and that's affecting the way you release the club, and that's affecting your club face control, we're going to talk about it in 3 stages, so the next time you go and practice you've got a bit of a routine to follow. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we have to improve your pivoting action. That's how we're moving the lower body. So what we need to do is, first of all, put the club through your belt line. And I just want you to practice doing 2 things. One, we need to learn rotation, so rotation around the spine, but we also simultaneously need to put weight in towards our lead foot. Now, because we're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on the impact position, we really need to put a lot of emphasis on the weight going in towards the lead heel. So you can see the way I'm keeping my head still, and I'm just allowing my weight to progress in towards my lead heel. Now, what happens when we do this, as opposed to just doing something like this? Now, this is the kind of golfer who has that sort of difficulty with standing up. They fire that trail side forward. As I pull my lead hip back and get that weight in towards my lead heel, what happens is the pelvis becomes more tilted. And you see, the benefit of when your pelvis becomes more tilted is it also tilts your upper body. So you can already see from this face on perspective the way my right shoulder is lower to the ground than if I move like so. So from that side on perspective, just by simply spending a little bit of time, and I say a little bit of time, what I'd be honest enough to say to you actually is that, and we're noticing this with students on my online academy, we're talking a lot about repetition and how long it takes, and the simplicity of doing this type of exercise and becoming aware of it, I wouldn't underestimate at all. In fact, actually doing quite a number of repetitions like this, you'll start to notice that you will identify right and wrong. So for golfers that move like this, just going down the range and hitting 100 balls won't work. Spending some time learning this type of movement and getting a sense for how that feels will work. And as I was going to say, from this perspective, you can see the way as I move correctly now, the way that my trail shoulder drops down, and already you can see the way that from this side on perspective, it looks like I'm staying down. Now, am I staying down? Not necessarily, because the thing, like I just said, that's making me look like I'm staying down is understanding that the pelvis moves to the left, and that helps me keep my head still, which drops this shoulder down. So the next thing that you want to then practice is, we don't want to feel like we're down, because that's where golfers struggle with, sort of doing this and throwing the club down. We don't want that. We want speed, and speed is going to come from an upward feeling. So the next thing you're going to do is you're just going to practice lead arm only, and just let that lead shoulder move back up and behind you. Okay, but when you're doing it, you have to kind of make sure that you're maintaining the same pivoting action that we just experienced. See what I'm doing? So my shoulder is going up, and that's whipping the club through, and you can see I'm still maintaining the same pelvic structure. So let me show you from this perspective, like so. Okay, and that's helping me stay down. So you can then start to practice some lead hand only swings, get that liberation, as long as you don't start doing it like this, where you're doing it like that and this way. And then what you'll start to notice is the way that, as I'm doing here, you can start to practice from inside that new perspective. Now, the thing that I would say, and this is the thing for most golfers, is that especially golfers who have a tendency to stand up, is you'll have a lot of space. You start doing some swings where you're this way, you're going to have loads of space to keep those arms out in front of you, and that's how you're going to straighten those arms and generate that speed. So you've hypothetically been standing up, you've hypothetically been getting the club shaft kind of coming down this way, and you've been struggling with the face. So we have worked on your pivot. That's giving you the correct sort of angles for the golf swing. We've worked on this lead arm only retraction, which is equally giving us that ability to sweep the club. So the last thing that you just want to practice when you're doing this lead hand only swing is just making sure that you're getting the feeling that the back of your lead wrist is pointing towards the target, roughly at the point when you're at left ankle. So see the way the club is now located by my lead ankle, and the back of my lead wrist is pointing towards the target. Because again, if you're somebody who is going to start learning how to pivot correctly and get this sort of feeling of this moving back and behind you correctly, you're going to start driving those hands forward. You're going to have to introduce forearm rotation to square the face. So that's the way the process is going to work. You're going to do it exactly like that. And then you can try and hit some shots once you've done it, once you get a feeling for these positions that we've talked about, then you can just start trying to maybe gently hit some shots with those same sort of feelings of staying down, and you can just progress to mess around with that down the driving range. But like I say, it isn't going to be the kind of thing that you're going to eradicate within inside 2 or 3 minutes. Do the repetition, but what I'm trying to do on these videos is explain the process and why things happen. So understanding how your hips move, especially the location of your pelvis, is absolutely key. Get the weight moving more towards that lead heel. That's a big thing. That will get you that sort of look of being more down over the ball. But so that you don't feel stuck and like you're literally just hitting down on the ball, practice some lead arm only swings, because that will teach you that sort of whipping the club through feeling. And then all that's left to do is to experiment with how much arm rotation you need to square the club face. And if you can put those things together, well, you should start to hit some much better drives. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you've got any questions in the box below, and I'll catch up with you guys again really soon.